and welcome to the Friends of the Forest online class with Stacey Marsh, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the UK. A very warm welcome to you wherever you're joining me around the world. So this card class has been created using the Friends of the Forest stamp set, which is part of the January to June mini catalogue, and it is super cute. I love the little images, they are great for colouring and create really, really cute designs. I felt really inspired by this stamp set, so I knew I had to make a class with it. Now I have used stamping blends to colour my designs with, but you can choose any colour medium, colouring medium that you fancy. You could use the watercolour pencils, you could use blends, you could use Stampin' Right markers. It really is up to you, but to achieve the look that I've gone for, you will need to use stamping blends. So the first part of this class is in this particular video, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically stamp and colour the majority of my images in this particular video, and then use those images on the rest of my cards, and those videos will be shared individually as part of the class. So a little sneaky peek at the card designs. We have card number 1 here for you. Lots are going on that card. Card number 2 looks like this, nice little Easter card. Card number 3 is this nice little double tree design, and then card number 4 is this really nice scene style card using the layering diorama dies and a few other pieces. So to get you started, I'm going to use one sheet of A4 white card, a memento ink pad like so if you're using stamping blends, and the trick with this stamp set is to use a stamping pierce mat. Now these are available online, you won't see them in the annual catalogue, but you can order them through the online store. Okay, these are really handy for using with photopolymer stamps, which are the see-through ones as part of the Friends of the Forest stamp set, and it just helps you get a really consistently good image when you stamp. Okay, so I'm going to put this underneath my card. Just waiting for the image to come back into, that's it, better. We'd gone a bit fuzzy. Okay, and I'm going to start by stamping 3 trees, okay? So give that a really good ink, and then we're going to stamp this nice and firm onto our white stamping mats. Now, that tree there isn't so great, so we will keep stamping. And this is all about just trial and error in terms of if you've not stamped before, or if you're still learning how to stamp. It's fine. I've been stamping for years and even I make little mistakes. Just give that a really firm press. That's better. That's a good tree. Okay. Now I'm still going to use this tree because on one of the cards we only need half a tree. Okay. So I'm going to stamp my 3rd tree like so. Give that a really good press. Lovely. That's my tree stamped. Now with my deer, I need 2 of the deer stamped. And just remember, there is a punch for this deer. It was part of the Peaceful Deer stamp set that was around at Christmas. And she's carried over, and we have a new little deer image that we can use. Like so. We want 1 fox, 1 cute little foxy, and I'm being quite frugal with my paper, and we want 3 little bunnies. I'm going to show you different techniques and ways that you can colour these cute little characters. 3 of those, and we want, what else do we want? We want 1 little tree stump, which is here. Okay, so let's put our little tree stump just about there. So now let's take our pierce mat away. So those are our images that we are going to colour. Now the colours that I have used some crumb cake, I have used some smoky slate, I have used some, what have I used? Soft Succulent for my green. I've used some Calypso Coral for my pink. And I have used some Cinnamon Cider, one of our in colours that's retiring very soon, Sob Sob. And I have used Balmy Blue, albeit Balmy Blue I've not really used a great deal of. So we're going to start with this selection of colours. And how I like to colour, I like to start with my lightest colour first. It's just my style. Someone taught me that a very, very long time ago when it comes to approaching colouring, and it's just stayed with me. Okay, so I'm going to start with my light smoky slate, and I want to colour one of my bunnies. Okay, so for this bunny here, this is for the first card, and I want him to look quite light in colour. So my little technique with this, I'm starting with the light shade, is I'm just going to draw very carefully, or colour very carefully, just around the edge of him. Okay, and a little bit of colour up on his ears. Now the trick with this sort of technique is to use a colour lifter. These are great little tools that you can use, and they basically do exactly what they say they're going to do, and that's lift the colour from your stamping. Okay, now it makes your image look a little bit wishy-washy, which is fine because that's the sort of style that I'm going for. And then I'm going to colour just ever so lightly into his ears with the pink. Okay, so that gives us a really sweet little coloured bunny. Okay, turning this round ever so slightly. I've got these two little bunnies here, and I'm going to add a little bit more colour onto this bunny. So I'm going to just lightly use my colouring strokes across his face. Okay, the trick with when you're using these blending pens, if you're using the blending pens at home, is to be very, very light in your pressure. And the other thing I would recommend is having all your lines, your colouring lines, going in the same direction. So don't go back and forth, you get quite a scrubby sort of technique. And then if your blends make a squeaking noise, you are definitely pressing too firm. So I've started with the light, I've gone out over the dark where I think some of the shading may be, and then I'm just going back over with that light to just blend the colour together so you get some real shading on him. And then I'm going to go back in with this colour lifter and just blend in where I've not added any colour. And there we get a nice little shaded bunny. Same thing with his ears. This is my dodgy Calypso Coral pen. Just add a little bit of colour to them ears. Okay. And then for our last bunny, I'm going to go quite dark. Okay. So I'm going to start with my dark shade. And these are just different techniques that I'm no expert, but these are techniques that I've tried and they really, really work for me. Okay. Going in with my dark and then going over with my light. Now what that does is that just gives us a little area that is shaded. So they are my three little bunny rabbits. Okay, so moving on now, I'm going to go on to my fox, and fox is going to be coloured with the Cinnamon Cider stamping blends. And for my little fox, I'll show you what he looks like here. I've left the tip of his tail white, and then, excuse me, that little triangle area in his forehead is also white. So I'm going to start with my light shade, and there's not a great deal in it in terms of difference in shading on the light and the dark. So I'm just going to follow the pattern, sorry, the shape of him. And give our little fantastic Mr. Fox a colour. Now I personally prefer to colour with the fine tip of my blend, but you may prefer to use the felt tip end. And again, there's no right or wrong, it's just what you particularly find most comfortable. But for me, this is just what I enjoy. Okay, so I'm just going to give him a little bit of shading on his face. And then we're going to go back over with our light one. Like so. And I'm happy with him. I think he looks very, very sweet. Okay. Moving on to our reindeer. I'm leaving the trees till last. So moving on to our reindeer, I've got two very, very different styles of reindeer. I've got this one here, then he's been coloured with cinnamon cider in the same way as Mr. Fox, and this one here has been coloured with crumb cake. So I'm going to show you the crumb cake one, and I'm going to start with my light crumb cake shade. Here it is. And now this time I'm going to use the felt tip end. Because this is quite a large image, I am going to colour the main flank of the reindeer with that felt tip end, and then I'm going to go in with my fine end and colour those really small areas. Lovely. Okay, now much like we did with the fox, I'm going to take my dark crumb cake blend and I'm going to add in a bit of shading where I think that shading will probably be got a little bit of detail there, and now I'm going back over with that light blend to just blend it all together. And the light shade's got a little bit of colour lift element to it, so it kind of creates a bit of a muddy sort of look, but I quite like that. Just going to colour his ears, that one. And then for our next one, again I'm going in with that light cinnamon cider. I'm going to use that felt tip end and then go back over with my light shade, my fine tip. That's it. Like so. Okay, and then again repeating with that dark shade. And then go over with our light shade. And there we have our reindeer friend. Okay, so next I'm going to move on to the trees. And the trees are quite detailed,